On the morning of September 11th, 2001, I was in homeroom. Miss Cookta's class. I was ninth grade. You know, I think like everybody, the first plane hit and we didn't really know what to think of it. We thought it was an accident, and then the second plane hit and it became pretty obvious that there was something more going on.
What's this other jet doing? What's this other jet doing?
We were watching the news that day, and you got started to get a sense of what was going on generally, but obviously the event was different for every individual involved, and those stories started to filter out later on. One of those stories that made a big impact on me was about Wells Crowther. He had just started a job as an equities trader and was working on the 104th floor of the South Tower. A few days prior to September 11th, he had actually contacted his father, and his father asked him how things were going, and he said, you know, it's going well, but I think I might change careers. And he says, you know, why? You know, you just started this, you're doing well, what do you have in mind? He says, you know, Dad, I think I have something bigger. I was meant for something bigger, and I think I want to work for the New York Fire Department.
As soon as he turned 16, he signed up as a junior firefighter. He had a great affinity for it. He loved helping people.
I just remember a kid that was a smart kid. He knew he was concentrating on what he had to do, and you could tell he kind of had the right stuff, you know.
At 8:46 a.m. on September 11th, American Airlines Flight 11 flew into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. Wells, already at his desk in the South Tower, called and left a message for his mother.
Mom, this is Wells. I want you to know that I'm okay.
In the 78th floor sky lobby of the South Tower, approximately 200 people were waiting to evacuate by the elevators.
We were just chatting, and next thing you know, it just exploded.
And after that, that was the last that they heard from their son. They assumed that he was gone, but they really didn't know what had happened. A few weeks afterwards, they were reading through the newspaper, and it was accounts from survivors sort of listing off what their experience was. And as she's reading through this, Allison Crowther saw several stories about a young man who had saved dozens of people's lives.
Judy said she saw a young man appear out of nowhere. She watched him as he went around helping people, putting out fires, and administering aid to the injured. And he said, "Everyone who can stand, stand now. If you can help others, do so." Those were his exact words as she told it to me that afternoon.
And they were citing a young man who was wearing a red bandana.
And that was Judy Whedon saying it. And this mysterious man wearing a red kerchief was calling out, basically setting up a triage. The minute I saw the reference to the red kerchief, I went, oh my God, Wells, I found you.
When Wells was 6 years old, his father gave him a handkerchief. He latched onto that. His dad would regularly carry a blue bandana, and he always kept a red bandana in his pocket, kept it in his back pocket. It became a signature of something that he had. He kept it around for dirty messes, to clean things up, and just to have on hand. And later that red bandana became important to his parents in a way that they never would have imagined. It gave them closure on what happened to their son.
To know that Wells, in that figurative sense, took off the equity trader hat and put it on the table, picked up his helmet, firefighter's helmet, and went to work. For me, that was an incredible, incredible thing to know.
And he went back up several times, saved in the end over a dozen people. It's the kind of bravery and courage that I don't think a lot of people have deep down. You know, wish that we could do that, but in a moment like that, to have presence of mind and to use the training that he had as a young man to follow his dream and right in that moment become a firefighter. And both of his parents knew that he was doing what he wanted to do in the end. The last hours of his life he spent doing what he was most passionate about.
The morning of the attack, I remember I was in English class in high school, and someone was murmuring around the corner saying that we've been attacked, we've been attacked. We turned on the television and all you can see was just a building on fire. When I saw the first tower go down, it was just a horrifying feeling to know that lives were in that building, family members, people running for their lives.
On my orders, the United States military has begun strikes against Al-Qaeda terrorist training camps and military installations of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan.
When I learned that we were going to go invade Afghanistan, I wish I was part of it, to be honest, and I wanted to honestly get those bastards who were responsible. Well, when we went to war, we put our best up front. Tragically, Sergeant First Class Nathan Ross Chapman was the first soldier to be killed in the War on Terror.
And Lynn, this wasn't Nathan's first dangerous assignment.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. He was in Panama, he was in Haiti, he was in the Gulf War as well. So, no, it wasn't his first at all.
Nathan Ross Chapman was born on April 23rd, 1970. He went to Centerville High School in Centerville, Ohio, where he wrestled. He then graduated and joined the Army in 1988. He was recruited by the CIA a week after the attack.
The team had been involved in a meeting with a local tribal leader in the area of Coast, and which is close to the Pakistani border. And after leaving that meeting and getting back into their vehicles, it was at that point that fighting broke out and they were fired upon.
A bullet shattered his pelvis and severed his femoral arteries. Sergeant First Class Nathan Ross Chapman died on January 4th, 2002. A week later, he was buried on January 11th at the Tahoma National Cemetery in Kent, Washington. Sergeant First Class Nathan Ross Chapman is remembered by his father, Will, his mother, Lynn, his brother, Keith, his wife, Renee, his daughter, Amanda, and his son, Brandon. Since then, He's been awarded with the CIA Intelligence Star, recognized on their memorial wall. The Army awarded him with the Bronze Star with the V for Valor, and the U.S. Special Forces Association in Thailand named itself after Chapman. It just makes me feel blessed to be in America, you know, to have the freedom that I have, to be here at BK, to provide for my family, you know, and just to live life.
On the morning of September 11, 2001, I was home with my 2 children, asleep, when the phone rang, and it was my husband calling me to turn on the TV and that we had been bombed. That was my first phone call of what was going on that morning. I remember just standing there, frozen, and we didn't know at that time if it was a plane, and just not moving from the front of the TV, just staring at the TV and just glued to it, and watching the second plane hit the second tower. And then that's when it became, oh, this is real, this is real, this is really happening. I remember being on the phone with Chris and watching the tower just go down, and I think at that moment, there was probably just a still moment on the phone between me and my husband of probably 20 seconds of just, and I can hear the commotion at his work of everyone screaming and crying, and I was home by myself with 2 kids and standing there just crying, thinking, this is indescribable. This is thousands of people in these buildings, and it was just so horrific to watch live. We just couldn't believe what that tower was capable of, how many people were in that building. And just watching it go down and just disappear within seconds. Realizing there was probably thousands, not knowing the numbers at the time, thousands of people that were in that building. And that we just knew when it collapsed, there was no way there was going to be survivors. There was no way.
Oh my God, the second one's collapsing! Oh my God, it just
Pasquale Vassalli redefined what it is to beat the odds. He was a structural engineer on the 64th floor of the North Tower. And where he sat on the 64th floor, he could not see the South Tower. He calls his wife and has his wife turn on the TV, tell me what you see, what's going on. She's telling him, as she's reporting, we believe a plane had hit. She knew his tower because he had the antenna. He and other coworkers had decided not to exit. He knew that this building was not going to collapse. It was made not to collapse.
I thought something heavy is falling through the stairs, or part of the building's collapsing and falling through, and I just dove right into the corner. I went into a fetal position. I covered my face and hands, and I buried myself as close to the wall as possible to protect myself from anything falling through, thinking that was the only way to protect myself. If something heavy fell, it might hit the wall. It was then that I felt the wall that I was next to and the base of the floor just crack open and give way. And that's when I knew right there and then that was it. The entire building was going. I said to myself, my God, I can't believe this is how I'm going to die. I've never experienced jumping out of a plane, but I guess falling or jumping out of a plane, that feeling of just riding the air and getting knocked around and riding, that surfing kind of feeling was what I was experiencing. And then I saw one bright flash. I remember seeing one bright flash with my eyes closed. And then I opened my eyes. It was 3 hours later. There were some fires that were still erupting, and I remember staring at that last large freestanding wall that was there. There was a fire that was right at the base of that, or right on the other side. I actually started feeling the heat from the fire. Shame to say, but I thought about taking my own life at that point, only not because I wanted to die. That was the last thing I wanted to do. But I didn't want to die by burning alive.
Hours later, he woke up sitting on a mound, a couple stories high, of a slab of the stairwell, sitting there with the blue sky and light hitting him. And when the firefighters found him, 2 firefighters had found him, and when they had found him, they said it was like seeing him like a king in a castle.
We had no idea whether he was fire or civilian or what he was. It really, I guess, really didn't matter. But the fact that we saw an individual up there after what we had climbed through in the position that he was nothing short of miraculous.
And they said, we got it from here, don't worry, we're gonna get you out of here. Which is, at that point I was like, thank God,
The scientists and the engineers have come to their conclusion of how he survived this fall. And they believe it was like a gust of a hurricane wind, took the slab and safely brought it down. But if you ask Pasquale, his theory, he believes it was an angel, a guardian angel, that actually guided that slab down. Because him being a structural engineer, knowing the free falling, seeing what was around him, there was no way he could have survived this. And he had spoke about scientist, book knowledge, and what he knows, there was a guardian angel that brought that slab down. And he did have survivor's remorse. His wife was 7 months pregnant at the time with their daughter Hope, and his wife had said even during the birth of their first child, never really got involved, never really truly came out of being one of the survivors, and watching his friends who were coming down the stairwell with them not survive, and why him. It wasn't till his second child, Mia, was born, is when he realized he needed to live to honor everyone that had passed away 9/11, was to live the best life that he could possibly live. And living the life that he'd been living up to that point wasn't the best life to honor anyone that had passed. And from that moment on, he has said he lived his life to the fullest at this point.